Hi guys. I was super disappointed in the quality of our live feed. I can only assume that it is a YouTube issue because on my end, all of my technology looked and appeared to have full reception, full coverage. So there seems to be an issue with the uploading of the live feed. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through the curriculum as quickly as I can. And then hopefully I'll be able to upload this video in place of the live feed that is up right now. It's pretty choppy and tough to listen to. So I hope this method works. I hope we don't have to switch to this full time. I'm really not sure. I don't have an answer yet. So let's just go for it. So this topic is restriction versus restraint. And I'm just going to read through it as quickly as I can so that this isn't a super long video to try and upload, okay? So there's a lot of confusion in the dieting world regarding deprivation, indulgence, restriction, and restraint. There's a right way to go about it. And then there's also a way to accidentally set yourself up for sabotage. And we, of course, don't want to do that. So today we are looking at restriction versus restraint and the difference between these practices. Restriction is a limiting condition or measure, especially a legal one. It's the limitation or control of someone or something or the state of being restricted. So the definition of restriction is particularly about like a legal restriction. That's like where that word originally comes from. It's about breaking the law. When you break a restriction, you're breaking a law, you're breaking a rule. And when we apply this to our weight loss journey, this concept or practice contributes to the diet mentality. We find ourselves believing that we've done something bad and that we're deserving of punishment. Diets that involve elimination are examples of restriction. So a keto diet eliminates carbs completely. Liquid diets eliminate solid food. The Overeaters Anonymous method eliminates refined sugar and white flour. Another example of kind of a different type of elimination, it's a different context, are programs with packaged food, such as Nutrisystem or Jenny Craig. What they're eliminating is your ability to choose. They're eliminating the opportunity to develop a healthy relationship with food, and eating real and regular food. Okay, so it's a different type of elimination, but it is still an elimination diet. The mindset of restriction as applied to our journey is directly tied to the breaking of rules, which really messes with a healthy mindset. In restriction, there are good foods and bad foods. We say things like, I was so bad today. When we believe we're bad, we're subconsciously saying that we are deserving of punishment, okay? This punishment can come in the form of severe restriction, which would be deprivation, depriving ourselves of food, or it can come in the form of overindulgence, which is a type of self-sabotage, and that is also a form of punishment. Food is not inherently good or bad. Food has no moral code. There isn't good food or bad food. It's not a moral system. It's just food. It's just energy. It's nutrients. It doesn't have morals. So it's not good or bad. It's just food, okay? The restriction method doesn't work, okay? It may appear to work in the short term, but it does not lead to lasting success. Here's why. As soon as you add back in whatever you had removed, your weight comes back on. However you lose the weight is how you must eat forever to keep it off. I'm going to say that again. However you lose the weight is how you must eat forever to keep the weight off. This is why it is so important to develop sustainable, long-term, healthy habits surrounding food. You have to be able to do it forever. That's why restriction doesn't work. So let's talk about restraint. Restraint is a measure or condition that keeps someone or something within limits. It's boundaries. Restraint is about boundaries. You know, when a dictionary gives a definition of a word, it gives an example, like an example sentence. I love the word, the sentence that they chose for restraint because it's talking about a budget. It says, decisions are made within the financial restraints of a budget. It's so interesting because our journey, our food system, whatever system we're doing, carbs, or whether we're doing low carb and tracking carb grams, or doing WW or counting calories or doing macros, whatever we're counting, we have an allotment, we have a budget, and it's about how we spend that. So that was the perfect sentence to use as an example, because we're talking about restraints of our budget, right? Exercising restraint means that we make mindful decisions about what fits into our plan and what doesn't. We choose what is worthy of our budget and what isn't. It is restraint that keeps me from spending my rent money on an all-inclusive vacation every month, right? We know how to exercise restraint in many areas of our life. We know how to say no to ourselves about things that we can't afford. We have to apply this to our weight loss journey and begin to develop healthy habits. Practicing restraint does not lead to punishment. Restraint does not involve good or bad line of thinking. It's about establishing healthy boundaries and learning to stay reasonably within them. Restraint does not involve elimination, but it's about choosing what is worth it and what isn't. Again, establishing boundaries. What is a worthy use of your points, your calories, whatever it is. Restriction involves breaking a rule, okay? Breaking the law, breaking the rule. It's black and white, good and bad. Restraint is about bending. There is a flow, okay? Restraint has a stretch and a flow. Restriction is rigid, and it's about breaking. So breaking or bending, and we want to learn to bend, right? Can you see the difference? When learning restraint, we don't blow it, okay? And then feel like we've ruined everything. Instead, we recognize that if we go too far, our next move is to reel it back in, not jump off a cliff, right? My favorite analogy is when we get a flat tire, do we slash the other three? Of course not. That's irrational. It makes no difference, or it makes no sense. We just change the tire and get back on the road. We have to learn to apply this to our journey as well. So I want you to be thinking about these concepts of restriction and restraint this week. Pay attention to your thought process. Notice when you're restricting and ask yourself how you can adapt and practice restraint instead of restriction. So here's your action plan. I want you to track 100%. I want you to take some time to think about restrictive measures that you've taken in the past. Ask yourself how they worked out for you in the long term. Since you're here with me, I'm guessing that they didn't work that great. And number 3, I want you to journal through your thoughts on restriction and restraint. Okay, take some time, take 10 minutes to yourself and write down, what are some restrictive measures I tried in the past? How did those fail me? Did they work in the short term but not the long term? Is it something that I can live with forever? What works for me? When do I feel the most nourished and successful? I want you to talk through those things with yourself and journal. That's it, guys. That's the curriculum. Hopefully this method works, and I will be able to upload this to the website in the next day or two for you to be able to watch without the breaking in and out and interruption. So thank you for bearing with me through the technical issues. I'm still not sure where they're coming from, but I'm going to do my best to get to the bottom of it. I hope you have a great week and stay focused on practicing restraint and letting go of restriction. Okay, bye guys.